What's up, Leafs Nation? Welcome back to another game preview. I'm Zack Phillips, and yes, I'm still in this hostage room, but hopefully only for this final video before tonight's post-game show with myself breaking down the second night of a back-to-back against the Columbus Blue Jackets. We'll be breaking down game number 7 here in this video, the lineups that we're looking at, some news that came out regarding Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and our best bet. But before I can get into any of that, I want to remind you guys, make sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe here to the channel, turn on notifications, and hit that like button. Earlier this morning, Nick and Rosie went live on Leafs Morning Take, as they do every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m., breaking down last night's game, teeing up tonight's game, and they were joined by the legend himself, my favorite Maple Leaf of all time, Matt's son, Dean. So if you haven't already, go check that one out. That came out on this morning's Leafs Morning Take. It's already up there. You can cut it out. You can watch the interview however you want to consume it, but it's right here on this channel. You don't want to miss anything like that, so make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. Let's get into the Game 7 preview as the Toronto Maple Leafs head out to Columbus on the second night of a back-to-back, coming off of what was a pretty intense win against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and what Rosie and I described in the post-game show last night as one of the best games we've seen this Leafs team play in a long time. This Leafs team now 4-2 on the season with a big 5-2 victory last night over Tampa, heads out to Columbus to take on the 2-3 Blue Jackets on their home ice. Let's take a look at what we've got for lineups here tonight. It feels like, for the most part, this one is going to stay the same. I looked into it as much as possible. I held off on posting the video or recording the video because I wanted to see if we were going to get any type of news on anybody coming in the lineup, coming out. Are people sick? Are people tired? Are people resting? There has been nothing. It's 12:45 at the time of this recording right now on the day of the game. There's obviously travel involved, all that kind of stuff, but no reporters at this point have put out anything in regards to a potential lineup change or a confirmed lineup change for that matter. So looks like I would anticipate at this point in time we're going to get a Dennis Hildeby sighting. They were talking about maybe Joseph Woll, but we haven't even heard anything there. I'm kind of just confused for the goaltender perspective, but lines, let's run through these. These are going to be the same. Matthew Knies, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner. It would be insane to break them up. Let's just leave it at that. That's your first line for tonight. Bobby McMann, Max Domi, William Nylander. Another great night from these guys last night. Get on the board with a couple of goals from William Nylander. Domi putting up some points. Bobby McMann taking hits to make a play. This guy has looked unbelievable. He's the perfect fit for those two on that line. Kudos to him. The BMW line stays together. Line 2, good for them. Number 3, Max Pacioretty, John Tavares, Nick Robertson. I have been pretty harsh on Nick Robertson. I think last night was one of the better games we've seen him play in the regular season so far this year. I'm still looking for a lot more out of him. I would like some more offensive production. But last night, genuinely, I think that's one of the better regular season games we've seen him play from an all-around perspective. There was a couple opportunities that he had point blank where he fanned on shots. That can't happen for a guy who wants to be known as a goal scorer here and wants to push his way up in the lineup. You think you're going to do that? Well, you're going to have to push past Bobby McMann and Matthew Knies, who are playing incredible hockey, all-around hockey right now, and you're just not going to be able to pass them, especially if you're not scoring goals. I want a little bit more, but last night we made some progress, and I think part of that might have been the return of Max Pacioretty to the lineup. Sat out for 2 games, comes back last night, gets on the board with a goal, long shot that beats Vasilevsky up high, one-timer from the pass from John Tavares. Pacioretty scores in his return to the lineup. He was much better last night than Pontus Holmberg has been in the last couple of games in that role, which I think is very important because it elevates Tavares a little bit, which then can help elevate Nick Robertson, and Tavares looked better than he did between Holmberg and Robertson as well. That brings us to the 4th line. As of right now, all we know, Lorentz, Kampf, Holmberg, that 4th line sticking together. They, again, last night looked good. I spoke about it in the post game. I've watched some other stuff since then. A lot of people are starting to feel like this Toronto fourth line has an identity for the first time in a long time with this group. It's like, we know that they are a hard forechecking group, not the most skilled, pretty good defensively, but they're not just going to go back into their own zone and make sure you don't score for 30, 45 seconds. They will put the press on you. They will finish every single check. They will punch you in the mouth in between whistles if you get on their nerves. They have a little bit of snot. They have some identity, and they are pretty fun to watch right now. So that is your forward group for tonight's games. The defense and the goaltenders will be interesting to monitor today as we go along and continue to see what we're getting out of these groups and what all the lineups that are posted are going to be. I mean, I'm looking over at Daily Faceoff as for goalies for tonight, and it's saying even at this point in time, Joseph Woll expected here, but unconfirmed. We just genuinely don't know anything between these two teams right now. So for the Leafs goaltender, at least here tonight, I think Wall would go. I feel like we could see Hildeby. I feel like there's just not even there's a non-zero chance, in my opinion, even at this point, that we see Stolarz. I wouldn't put it above like a 2% chance, but it's non-zero. There is a chance he starts. Who knows what happens with these goalies? I still have yet to see anything confirmed here myself. As for the defense for tonight's game, if we slide on down over on Daily Faceoff and take a look at the pairings, I'm glad to see the guy that I am at the top of the board alongside Morgan Rielly, and that would be Chris Tanev. He gets the belt last night, and it's because they're calling him the puck eater, the biscuit eater. Chris Tanev back there. I think he had 7 blocked shots last night in the game. He gets the belt. The guy's an absolute warrior. Blocks anything and everything in sight. He doesn't care. That's just who he is. That's what his job is. He's soaking pills. And I was worried that he was just going to take a day off because you're taking pucks to knees, elbows, all that kind of stuff. It's going to wear on you. He said, nope, I don't care. Game 6, I'll eat those pills. I'm going back in on the next day for Game 7. So it looks like he remains in the lineup alongside Morgan Rielly. We got OEL, Jake McCabe. OEL, let's touch on this quickly here. What an absolute joke by the NHL and the guys up in the front office who make the decisions about fines and suspensions and all that garbage. To give Oliver Ekman-Larsson a $5,000 fine or whatever the maximum allowable for a reverse hit on Jake Guentzel is a complete and utter disgrace by the NHL to hand that out. A disgusting, crazy call to give out a fine for that play. That was barely even a penalty. And to go back and allocate a fine for Oliver Ekman-Larsson hitting Jake Guentzel is a complete and utter joke by this league. This is why people have a problem with George Peros, the Department of Player Safety, and the officials in this league. There is no consistency on a day-to-day basis, on a game-to-game basis, on a period-to-period basis. These guys cannot keep anything in order. There is nothing to say, this is what this is, clean, cut, and clear. It is not like that. That last night will happen. There's 16 games tonight. That play will happen 10 times today. You know how many times it'll be penalized? Probably none. You know how many times it'll be fined? None. And yet, last night, you get a penalty and you get a fine for it. What an absolute joke. That was barely even a penalty. If you wanted to call it, that's fine. But then you call it every other time it happens in the league. Complete joke. And for that to be a fine is a disgrace by the front office and the Department of Player Safety to hand that down. Just being absolute heroes because they know the Maple Leafs are going to get some recognition for having that penalty given out, and they're going to throw a slap on the wrist and say, you can't do that. Pathetic use of power from that front office. That is a terrible fine. I had to get that off my chest. Oliver Ekman-Larsson was a beast last night. That was a great hit. That does not deserve a penalty, let alone a fine. Nonsense. Let's keep it moving. Third pairing. Simone Benoit, Connor Timmins on the third pairing there. Those guys will slot in. Connor Timmins looked really good last night as well. He looked like he's finding some type of groove here. I don't know if he's gaining confidence under Berube or what, but the more he plays and the less Timothy Liljegren does. It feels like it's just a matter of time until he is out the door on his way to his next team. So unfortunate for Timothy Liljegren. You gave it a shot. You tried. Craig Berube just does not like him. It's not going to work out for him here. Connor Timmins has very clearly surpassed him. And the bottom pairing there still at this point looks pretty decent. So that looks like it's the end of the road for Timothy Liljegren. As far as the power play units go, between first and second unit, no changes here. Marner, Tavares, Nylander, Matthews, OEL. Last night, for brief periods of time, we did see Matthew Knies get out over the boards in replacement of John Tavares. I don't think that the way that thing went down last night was intentional. I don't think that Berube was looking out and being like, we need to get JT off and get Knies on. I feel like there was probably some type of line reshuffling going on, trying to make sure lines were going to be okay after the power plays came to a conclusion as well. Set yourself up back for 5-on-5 play and get those lines back in order. That's probably a piece of it. Also, on top of that, JT just might have been tired. At that point in time, it was about 45 seconds, a minute into the power play. Knies gets out with that group, and then he does remain out there with the rest of them, takes on the net front position in John Tavares' place. But I wouldn't be surprised here if at some point a guy like Matthew Knies started to transition into that role. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion on it. I am a huge Knies fan. I'm not a JT hater. I'm just a big fan of this kid, how energetic he's been, the legs that he's had under him, and how impactful he's been. And I feel like he can be a real strong contributor when you get to the Stanley Cup finals, or Stanley Cup playoffs, not finals. Let's pump the brakes. Playoffs. I feel like he's a guy who can slot into your lineup and bring that life, bring that energy, and make a difference onto your power play. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, but that's kind of the thoughts I have. As for the second unit, Knies, Domi, Pacioretty, Riley, Robertson. No surprise there. PK remains the same as well. So that's pretty much what we've got for units here tonight. Apologies for the OEL rant thrown in there in between, but that thing pissed me off. When I found out that fine was handed out, I thought that was one of the biggest jokes I've ever seen from a guy sitting up in a front office there handing out fines and suspensions. It's willy-nilly. It's I feel like it this day, I don't feel like it that day. There's no consistency, and it's hard to tell on a daily basis. I thought Ekman-Larsson did not deserve that. Thought it was a great play, great hit, and he gets penalized for no good reason. I thought it was a joke. Let's get to our best bet for tonight's game, game number 7. As we do that, I want to remind you this segment is brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs pregame show and the Leafs Nation After Dark. You can open an account with Bet365 today, bet on a huge range of markets, so whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Remember, use code TLNBonus. That's TLNBONUS when you sign up today. TLN bonus over at Bet365. Make sure to check that out. Let's get to our best bet today. For those of you wondering, if you haven't been following along where we're at, how things have gone, remember, we are staking these properly on units, but we are down currently 0.71 units on the year. Through 6 games, we've given out 7 bets. We're 2-5 on the year, down 0.71. And we're taking some shots on some of these bigger numbers out here. We're taking some goal scorer opportunities, trying to get some of those to cash for us. We had a couple early on. Now we're back down into the negative. We're not still down a full unit at this point, but down 0.71. Today, I'm trying to find some fun stuff for us. I feel like this is one of those ones you're going to sit on the couch. Every 15 minutes, an NHL game is going off. You got to find something interesting. So, this is the one for me. And tell me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the chat. Drop it down below. Say that you're an idiot. This is a terrible bet. I would never do this. But I think when I give you the reasoning for this one, you're going to understand why and have a hard time disagreeing. So here it is. Let's head on over to Bet365's site. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. The Frozen Frenzy. We've got a million games going on today. Head over to Bet365. Everyone is listed. All the sides, totals, player props. They've got it all over there. Any markets that you're looking for, they've got it. But I'm going to go down, and I'm going to scroll down to the Leafs Blue Jackets game. I click into this game. Shocker. I'm going over to the player props tab. I slide down, and I'm looking in the goal scores. Okay? Second night of a back-to-back. It's a weird one that gets thrown in on a Tuesday night at 7:30. It's against Columbus. Your power play is starting to get some stuff going. The first line looks really good. There's a guy who hasn't really gotten, some recognition for goals here yet. And it's not because he's a goal scorer and I'm waiting for those goals to pile up like Matthews and Nylander and start to build into those. And he's going to be a guy who's going to get on the board there. But I feel like he's one of those guys who scores in these games. Maybe he doesn't even just score one, but he'll score 2 or 3, and he gets on the board, and he pads some stats, and the Leafs will walk away from this one winning 6-1, 7-2, something like that. But he'll have had a ton of goals. Wonder who I'm talking about? I'll be number 16, Mitch Marner. Anytime goal plus 220 here tonight is the best bet. This, to me, there's no real huge edge, so we're just going to play this one a little bit smaller. We're going to go a half unit. $50 wins you $110 here tonight. $110 profit, $50 on this, plus 210 anytime goal scorer. Look, this is the reasoning for this. This just feels like the most Mitch Marner game ever. As this price, plus 220, it's the best number in the entire market. If you're using other sports books and not Bet365, you need to stop. You need to go over to Bet365, use code TLN bonus, but they have the best price in market, pretty much every single thing that we're giving out here on this show. They've got it again here tonight. Best price in market by far. It's the most minimal edge that I could find mathematically, but I feel like there is just an angle here that us as Leafs fans are going to recognize that is maybe a percentage not accounted for by the book. Not tonight is that this screams Mitch Marner game. This screams the type of game that he's able to score, and maybe not 1, but 2, 3, who knows, 4, and he scores in bunches. So that is our best bet tonight. Mitch Marner, anytime goal, plus 220, half unit, pays as a profit $110. All right, that'll do it for the game preview. This is game number 7. Look ahead. Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time here tonight. If you did enjoy the show, if you did enjoy the video, like it, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. What's your prediction for tonight? Is this a good bet, bad bet? Are you tailing? Are you fading? What are you doing? I want to hear it all in the comments below. What is your best bet? Thank you so much to everyone who watched here today. I look forward to seeing you all tonight following the game against the Columbus Blue Jackets, Game 7 of the season. Thank you all for watching, and as always, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.